Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I'm Front Row, joined by Mongrovian Mike, all the way from Monrovia, Long Island. Debhausen, the Great and Powerful. And joining us tonight, John in South Jersey. Our very own Tony Justice is still out on the road, doing his thing. Couldn't make the show tonight, but we give a big shout out to Tony. Stay safe out there, brother. What are you guys
He's the greatest truck driver of all time.
He is.
He is the greatest truck driver of all time.
Yep.
Hey, if he was great, he'd be here.
Yep, he would. But he's not, and I am.
Yeah, no, I mean, Tony's been working hard, man. He had all kinds of stuff come up with work, and it's just been one thing after another. And I have a ton of respect for Tony and the truck drivers of this country because, man, it's a difficult job.
Mm-hmm.
So
lots and lots of miles on that big machine there.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he say he had like 700,000 on it? A little over 700,000, I think.
I don't know. Tony, let us know how many miles you got.
I think it was around 7. So Tony, keep if you're in the chat.
And blow your air horn for us.
Yeah.
Don't make Mark Henry happy.
He wants to turn his miles back.
Like Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Turns out that doesn't work, apparently.
No, that doesn't.
All you're left with is a pile of Ferrari in a ravine somewhere.
781,000 miles on that truck.
Wow.
Woo!
Okay. I undershot it. Damn.
Wow.
My goodness. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody in chat. I see Tony's in there. I see James and RA. Seth, RJ, Mr. Front Row, Steven. My goodness, we got a full house here tonight. Sam, I see Sam out there.
Sam.
Yep. My God, there's a ton of people in the chat. Awesome. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff to cover. We're gonna do a little bit of WrestleMania recap. I know everybody's heard all the opinions about it, but we have a couple of things that I do want to talk about because it ties into storylines coming up. And man, it was just
sorry. Mac just popped me.
Oh jeez, Mac, I am not putting that up on the screen.
How many of those miles did you put on that old girl?
And that I hope you traded up to a newer model.
Oh my God. Okay, continue. Distracted.
All right. So before we talk wrestling, though, last weekend, as everyone knows, Busted Open had their party at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Looked like a smashing success. All kinds of fun was had on air and off air. From what we hear, there was a lot of interesting things that happened there. I want to pop up a couple of pictures for y'all to check it out. If you haven't seen these pictures, here's a great one of Dave and Ron Funches, Thunder Rosa, Mark Henry, Violetta, Bully, Mickey James, and Tommy Dreamer. This is a really, really cool shot because it's very rare to get all of the hosts in one place at the same time. And I thought it was a really cool picture. And who was out there representing the Nation's Corner? Our very own Trenda. Here's Dave and Trenda. Zito and Zito's friend and Violetta. And look at that.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Zito in a mirror.
Yes.
Yep, I see a mirror. Yep. Awesome.
Yes.
If you want to hear
our buddy Dave drove all the way from Wichita.
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to David in Wichita.
And on our buddy Bill Vlachos. Bill.
Yes. Shout out to Bill. Bill flew in the morning of, went to the party, and then flew out that night. Like he flew all the way from, I think he lives in South Carolina or North Carolina. He lives out here somewhere. And flew across the country, did the party, and then flew back across the country. Man, that's dedication. Oh, Mac was there as well. That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. Very cool. If you want to hear some fun stories from... No, of course not. Of course he's doing it on purpose at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to hear some fun stories from the Busted Open Party, go check out this week's edition of Mission Pro Wrestling's Unmatched. From Thursday. Trenda tells some really funny stories and shares her experience. We definitely have to go as a larger group next year in Philly.
Yes. Yeah. And Dave did say that shortly they will be making their announcement for the Philly party, looking like they're locking down a location as early as possible to get to get a really, really good spot in Philly for their party. So I'm super excited about that. Hopefully we will have a big group out there, and I can't wait to see everyone again.
Yeah, you all have fun.
Oh, shut up.
Too much of a commute for you, John?
Go across the bridge.
I gotta cross a
Oh, yeah.
bridge.
Oh yeah, what Steven said, they're so glad for those that got to go, had such a great time. That's what we're about. We just even if we can't make it to an event, we may be like want to go, we're envious, but we love seeing our buddies have a great time at other events. Except for when
absolutely.
Steven goes to freaking concerts and I don't get to go to them. But that's a side story.
Steven goes to concerts like 3 times a week, that lucky bastard.
Steven travels all over the country.
Dad just has a really good stereo system and just
how do we know? How does he know? I'm looking out for him. Honestly, that's all I'm doing. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just looking out for him.
It's impossible to see that many shows.
I mean, Steven traveled from North Carolina out to Tennessee this weekend to go to a bunch of family functions. I think there's some music and partying involved, and that dude is everywhere. Steven is awesome. It's so cool, all the stuff he gets to do.
Yeah.
In all honesty, he's one of my favorite people that I've met in this group. You know that, Steven. He's the man.
Oh, I see in the chat. Big shout out to our friend Karen Sensei.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Thank you for watching.
Joining us.
Yes. Karen's one of my favorite people as well. She's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a couple of things before we go into the actual wrestling coverage. There's some stuff that happened this week. This topic keeps coming up, right? So we saw, I think for those of you that pay attention online, there was a lot of talk on Friday night about what Triple H was going to say on SmackDown, because he had made an appearance on Monday basically saying we're not going anywhere, everything's going to be fine, reassuring the fan base that all the changes that you're seeing really don't mean anything to the product that you're getting on TV, which I kind of figured anyway. We all kind of know
not
that
together forever.
Yeah, right. And together, right. And then of course there's the announcement that he was going to have an announcement on Friday night, and the speculation was, what was the speculation, right? So the dirt sheets were all reporting it's definitely not a draft. Like, we've talked to sources, it's going to be corporate speak, it's going to be more of the same for the SmackDown audience. And of course, what does Triple H announce but a draft, right? So once again, all of these dirt sheets and aggregate sites were given information to throw them off the scent of the actual announcement.
Right.
And it's starting to get really, really frustrating seeing people. The dirt sheets are going to do whatever they're going to do. Like, I don't have an issue with them posting speculation, whatever. It's fine. But people need to start being a little smarter about what you read and how you absorb information, because take it from the source. And we've even seen, like, friends of ours in wrestling have had things reported about them that were not true, even just storyline stuff, or whether it's personal information. And I wanted to get you guys' feelings on, like, take, for example, a Mike Johnson, who typically reports facts, gets like multiple sources of validation, and doesn't usually report anything salacious, like nothing super personal, right?
Right.
And then you've got a lot of these other sites and like Ringside News and all these other people that are just like, oh, I heard so-and-so's dog was sick. You're like, yeah, what do I care? Like, so Deb, I want to start with you. What's your feeling about these? Are they worthwhile news sources, or do you just not read them at all?
I don't pay attention to them at all. There is quite a few Twitter pages that I have blocked because they're known for, reporting false things or spreading unnecessary rumors or just negativity in general. So I actually don't see a lot of it. I have kind of curated my feed well enough that I don't see most of it, but obviously occasionally things come through because people discuss things that they've seen online. I just take everything with a grain of salt. There's a couple people out there that I kind of trust them more so as journalists because they have been shown to really like check their sources and check multiple sources, and they are known to kind of be more upstanding and respectful rather than people who are just looking for clickbait. But yeah, I try to stay away from it in the most part. And when I do see it, just take it with a grain of salt and not read too much into it. Karen says in the chat, tempered expectations. And that's absolutely true. Like, just take, for example, The Rock supposedly at WrestleMania, this year. Like, people got it in their heads somehow that The Rock was going to be there. The Rock was going to be there because it was in Los Angeles. And yeah, when it was initially announced for Los Angeles, everybody was kind of like, oh man, could The Rock come out? That would be cool. Hollywood, big crossover promotion. But when it was kind of clear that that wasn't happening and people kept like trying to perpetuate the rumor and convincing other people that this is happening, that's where you kind of take a step back and go, okay, why are we still like perpetuating this rumor? Like, what are you getting out of this? Why is this happening? And just like, don't get your hopes up unnecessarily about something, because then when it doesn't happen, you're going to be disappointed and let down unnecessarily. Like, there's no reason for you to get your hopes up for something that is totally fabricated and not even in the realm of possibility.
So take that for example. I found that fascinating when that all happened, because they're like, well, The Rock has a home in LA and he's a movie star. I'm like, The Rock has like 5 homes all over the world. He has a home in London. He has a private jet. The guy's worth $500 million. I think he can fly to wherever WrestleMania is if he's booked.
Right.
I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. We don't have to arrange for an Uber. They'll be good. Right. I do think that there are some news sources that are kind of credible, but I don't pay attention to literally any of them. The only time I hear stuff is when someone says, oh, did you hear about this? And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, generally, I don't care. If there's news, corporate news, mergers, like that stuff, like I'm interested in. But if someone says, oh, I heard Batista's backstage, I'm like, yeah, he probably is visiting people. Like people from other companies visit all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I can give you an example of that real quick. And I'm not telling anything out of turn, because he said this himself on his Twitch stream. Sledge was at one of the Las Vegas tapings for Impact, and I guess some dirt sheet ran with a story that he was seen with Scorpio Sky. And I don't know if they were sitting in the audience or just kind of like off, to the side or in the back or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I was there. I was visiting some friends, watching the show. And, we see a lot of that stuff where people are like, wrestlers are friends with a lot of other wrestlers. A show might be in town. They might be going, sure, they might be going to, do some business in some sense, or, meet with people that they have connections with. But just because someone reports that someone is backstage, like, people work themselves into a tizzy, like, oh my God, so-and-so is there. And then they like automatically assume that we're going to get this big like debut for this person when they were just backstage hanging out with someone.
Yeah. John, what do you think about all this?
Well, my general opinion on dirt sheets and so-called journalists, all the way up and including the biggest one of all, Dave Meltzer, they're all clown shoes. That's basically how I describe them. They're clown shoes. You can't take anything they say with any kind of credibility, or it's certainly not as fact. It's clickbait. They're trying to drive whatever traffic or whatever, and I take equal amount of pleasure of hearing when they're all wrong than when once in a great while they actually may get something right or sort of right. And to piggyback on Deb's statement a little bit, the whole tribalism thing is kind of just at this point, but it exists only with the fans, not the wrestlers. You are always hearing or seeing wrestlers backstage or at other shows, or seeing people. I didn't know Sledge was in Las Vegas for the tapings with Scorpio Sky, but it makes perfect sense because, well, they happen to be friends with Frankie Kazarian. Oh, that works for Impact now. Well, hey, we're in town, go see Frankie work and see some friends. Up to and including night 2 of WrestleMania, as Cody Rhodes is making his entrance. Who did he give his weight belt to?
-1.
-1. And who's there with his mother, the bride of the late John Huber.
And by the way,
Amanda.
can we also just acknowledge the fact that WrestleMania weekend, like 95% of the wrestlers are there in town?
Oh, yeah.
What they're doing.
they're all there.
Oh, yeah. 95% of the wrestling industry was in one major metropolitan area.
Yes.
Right. It was a military target, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. If you really wanted to mess up a lot of business for a lot of organizations,
I don't wish ill on anybody. I'm just saying,
not at all.
Strategically, it was a bad move.
Yeah. But just the dirt sheets are called the dirt sheets for a reason, and everybody, or I won't say everyone, there's a lot of fans that want to be that one smarter than everyone else or whatever, and feel the need to just try to. And I mean, we've also seen instances in the past where, you know, the wrestlers themselves kind of feed into it. They'll feed something to someone. Whether
we're going to get into that.
But we could do without them, but it's one of them things. I don't think you're ever going to get rid of them. So just ignore them. They're clown shoes and move on to what you see with your own eyes.
So, Mike, I want to get your perspective on this, but I want to add one thing. So, you know, if you take a 30,000-foot view of things, and like we're just fans, but every once in a while we hear stuff from people in the industry, and you can follow the information trail. If, for example, we hear something from somebody who works at a company and it doesn't get reported, that's because they didn't want it reported. You know,
Right?
If something is actually supposed to be a secret, they know how to keep it a secret.
Yes.
And stuff that gets out either wasn't all that important or it was meant to get out. So even in the best of circumstances, credible people, and I don't use the word journalist because I had this whole whole conversation with Sam Roberts about this, because his feeling is there's no such thing as wrestling journalists because wrestling is entertainment. You're reporting on an entertainment product. You're not a journalist. And
I completely get that. Yeah.
So Mike, from that perspective, how do you view all that?
Well, the dirt sheets are a two-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword, because right there, what you said. So someone like Triple H or their press department, whoever handles press releases or whatever, they see it. So if they want to throw someone off the trail, they're going to throw out breadcrumbs that, you know, at the end of the day are stale and no good, but they're going to still get thrown out there because they know these loudmouths are going to throw it out there. So, you know, and then there's other guys, though, you like you said, like a Sean Roche Sapp, you know, who kind of vets out stuff as much as he can. You know, he's not one of your knee-jerk guys, so I wouldn't even list him in the same category as all the other people. But yeah, you know, you like Triple H will let something out. You know, he probably let out, hey, it has nothing to do with the draft. Just on purpose. So they would all go out there, report it has nothing to do with the draft, and then he comes out and he says, hey, it's about the draft. There you go.
Yeah.
Of course, otherwise people would have said, it's about the draft, then no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise, and that's that. But also, you know, the Inquirer sometimes is right, you know? So, I mean, when I see Kenny Omega, President Biden meet with aliens at Hangar 18, I'll take it with a grain of salt, but it could be true.
It could be.
It could. Who's to
It could
say?
be a deep fake.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
But
We don't
okay,
know.
so from that perspective, you know, the dirt sheets or sites or whatever are used as a tool for wrestling companies and promoters to not only get information to the public, it stirs up interest in storylines and what we perceive to be real. The whole idea of new kayfabe, right? And so another thing that they're using or have been using for a while is reality shows. And I think that like the Total Divas stuff was very scripted. Like they have spoken openly about how heavily scripted it was. But now we fast forward to a week and a half ago with the debut of AEW's All Access. And the first episode, I thought it was really, really interesting because it felt less unscripted and a little bit more reality based. Like, I know it's weird to say a reality show is reality based, but I felt like it was more genuine. There was some real stuff because, you know, a lot of those stories we had heard about, and they sort of explained some of those things. So we're 2 weeks in. We've seen some cool stuff. We've seen We saw Britt Baker on the first week talk about Thunder. We saw Thunder talk about her injuries on the second week. We saw Sammy and Tay and Sammy and Eddie Kingston and all this stuff. So, Deb, from your perspective, and I know you're a big fan of like a lot of the people that they're portraying on the show, does it feel real to you, or does it still feel a little bit scripted?
The only part to me that felt scripted was the scene of Britt and the other ladies backstage talking about Thunder. That was the only part to me that felt like, okay, this is a setup scenario for the show. Everything else does feel, more or less, real, in the sense that they're not just being set up and saying, you stand here and talk to this person about this. It definitely feels like we're seeing real interactions between them. And I'll say specifically the interaction with Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston. I think it really helps that what the footage that we're seeing is from months ago. So it's not really breaking us out of the illusion of the current storylines, because this is a lot of stuff that we've heard about before. Like, we've heard about the drama that happened with Sammy and Eddie. But I did really like that part where Sammy addressed Eddie, and, Sammy addressed the audience and said, sometimes I get so wrapped up in everything I'm doing, I kind of, get lost and forget who I am. And I've seen that side of him because I watch his vlog weekly. But I know for those who have not watched his vlog, or just not that interested to watch it because you're just not that interested in him as a character, it did really humanize him a lot. That's pretty much the first time that we've seen him on TV, not really in his character. His character is very egotistical, I'm the best, all that kind of stuff. And for the first time on TV, we've seen that other side of him where he's like pulling down the wall a little bit and saying, I'm really trying to repair my connections with people. So I really enjoyed that part, and I know you guys did as well.
Yeah, he definitely repaired it. I definitely gained respect for Sammy for that, for coming clean, because you don't have to know what went on in the locker room. You just knew that that people there wanted to give him a backhand. He must have been getting out of control. But when he said, "I'm looking at Subway Sammy, and now I'm in the ring," when I was in Subway, I said, "I'm going to wrestle that guy," and now he's wrestling Dan. It's just, really, really good, and at least it makes him look a little humble, and he's on the right track now.
Yeah,
but this goes back to what we were just.
Understand. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this goes back to what we were just talking about, because in that segment they showed clips from stories from dirt sheets. They were utilizing headlines to tell you the story if you hadn't read it. So this is the backstage altercation. Eddie Kingston was suspended, and none of that was ever said on TV. That was only ever said in news sites. But here they are in their own reality show, using those clips of the headlines to sort of tell the story.
Yeah, and I do like that, because you're kind of getting a little bit of that drama that, everybody craves the drama. We all love watching drama, without having, like, I don't know how to put it, without having like the drama be off-putting. Like, it's inserting the drama into the storyline without being like, too much. That
there's a reality of truth to it.
Right. And like, we don't need to see like the altercation that supposedly happened between Sammy and Eddie. Like, I don't want to see that, but it is nice to see, Sammy addressing Eddie and apologizing and saying, I'm trying to right my wrongs. That kind of stuff is nice to see.
Yeah, John, I want to ask you a question about that because Deb mentioned that aspect of the show felt real to her, and the reason that it felt real to me was I feel like if that was scripted, Eddie and Sammy would have had a sit down and a back and forth, and they would have hashed things out. Eddie was like, "No, I have to work with you. I'll keep it professional," and he just left.
Yeah,
like that was it. Like he was just like, I'm not dealing with this, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what would really happen.
Well, that's and as we found out over the years in wrestling, you know, a lot of cases that's kind of what the relationship is. You know, you can work with somebody, do business with someone. You don't have to like them. You don't have to be, you know, buddy with everybody. But
Brett and Sean didn't like each other.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't like any of you, and I'm still here.
I barely tolerate you, old man. Barely. That's tenuous at best.
What was the biggest picture that we talked about this week? Hell froze over this week on Instagram when Tessa Blanchard posted a picture with La Rosa Negra. And there was some sort of coming together. I don't know the details, but for them to post that picture tells me that someone wants to do business somewhere.
Yes.
And if they can work through that stuff and Tessa can humble herself or whatever happened, you know, I don't know what happened, but for that picture to come out, I was like, oh my God, like, that's a huge thing.
That's a big step.
Right.
That's a huge step. But if put it this way, if Sammy and Eddie sat down and it was, you know, well, we got to build this and that and tried to do something, it wouldn't have come off as real. It would have came off as fake. We all pretty much know that Eddie Kingston is Eddie Kingston 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is, you know, you get what you get with him. And while it was a little bit of a peek inside, if it was anything more than what it was, I would have been like, all right, they set this up just to get the idea of the story out. But the thing that I liked about Sammy's segments in particular, one is they and we knew it because we watched it on TV, is the way him and Tay bought 100% into they hate us, so we'll give them a reason to hate. I love that from them, and I was very not surprised, but it was nice to see that was coming from them, that it wasn't coming, oh, you guys need to do this to you guys need to do this to further the story. No, that was coming from them. And I'm sorry, at the end of that segment, Sammy's there, he's given that very kind of poignant little soliloquy type monologue, and all of a sudden here comes Bryan Danielson. His face is a bloody mess, his chest looks like hamburger. Hey man, that was great, are you okay? I'm like, dude, you just look like you got ran over by a truck, and here he is smiling, not breathing hard. I mean, we all know Bryan Danielson's an absolute effing machine, but you know, like I said, it looks like he got raw hamburger dumped on his chest, his face is all bloody. Dude, that was so great, shaking his hand, thank you so much. I'm like, I said that to me, not only did that make Sammy for me, but that made, again, not that he needs it, but that made Bryan Danielson, that here's this guy after the career that he has had and the things he's done and accomplished, that he still gets excited and comes back when he gets the living crap kicked out of him out of the ring. He comes back smiling, and at one point I'm like, he goes, yeah, man, that was fun, Sam. We should do that again. I'll be like, you know, stuff like that though.
That's the point,
so
John,
Mike, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that this show is another. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Because I know where you're going with this, and I know that you're an old school fan, and we've talked a lot about like how much should they pull the curtain back when you see something like this with Bryan Danielson and Sammy Guevara. Does that give you too much, or do you feel like this endears you more to them or invests you more as a fan to them?
No, this right here is what you say is getting. How do you get Sammy to another level? This show might get Sammy to another level because it's showing you layers of Sammy and Tay. I'm going to say Tay too as well, because we know she's got the talent, and she was saying it too. Like, you know, in jiu-jitsu, you just have to perform and you have to get your ribbons or whatever. You know, here you have to actually have stories, and that's another small point which we know she doesn't have the year of a certain person there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a rough thing. We know other people have the ear. They chew his ear so much he's probably getting cauliflower fucking ear from a certain person there. But that'll be one thing.
We should
Anyway,
see a dentist.
Yeah. No comment. Anyway, that Sammy's over to the next level. Like you said, yes. Sometimes it's all right to pull the curtain back. Everyone knows, and everyone knows that they're not all best friends. So you saw that. You saw Sammy have an interaction with Daniel, and then you got him having interactions with Eddie Kingston. There you go. Two people that he has to do business with. One that he really is not going to get a Christmas card from, and the other one, he really put him over. And Sammy laying himself out there puts that character up another level, and that's what they need, because there's 4 people that they're trying to push towards MJF, and we need that.
Yeah, I want to give. So Karen said, "Well, I had issues with Total Divas impacting WWE booking, and endeared me to wrestlers like The Miz, Bryan Danielson, and Moxley." And I totally agree. Like, I think the difference for me with this show is it feels more like an actual film crew just following people around. We know that they're aware of the cameras, and their behavior. You can't help but alter your behavior a little bit for the cameras, right? And when people are picking stuff up, you want to present yourself in a certain light, but from what I understand, I've never had a film crew follow me around, but it's because they're around 24/7. After a while, you kind of get used to them, and then the real use sort of comes out, and we're starting to get that. And I felt like these matches that they're covering, and hearing how important and how nervous Sammy was before that. Like, Bryan Danielson's his coworker, but he's still maybe the best wrestler in the world with 20-something years of experience. And he is who he is, and to see that interaction afterwards was very. It definitely invested me more. But then there was some negativity. Like the week before, we saw Britt was sort of trashing Thunder for not coming to work. Even though, why would she go to work if they don't have anything for her to do? Why would you fly across the country with a bad back and all that stuff? The other criticism she had was around Thunder not relinquishing the belt, which I thought was kind of funny, because fans are kind of smart in 2023. We understand that the wrestlers typically aren't picking, for the most part, who gets to keep and win and lose belts. So
it wasn't her choice.
Well, there's quite a few holes that you can punch in AEW management.
I wasn't going there, but I wanted to fast. Go ahead, John.
No, we don't have to, but I'm saying that if there's one underlying thing, whether it's intentional or not, the way they're doing the show, like I said, there's quite a few things that they're kind of punching holes, or stepping on their own feet and shooting themselves in the foot with what they put out there. So I find the most interesting part of the show, not even so much the people on it and what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to piggyback off of Karen's comment a little bit. I was going to point this out as well. I also had issues with Total Divas, because to me, like, I didn't watch it much, but what I saw of it, it was very much like Real Housewives, like Kardashian style reality show, where the cameras were following them around, but like, we've heard from certain people in the Kardashian family that a lot of the scenes in the show were either set up or reenacted after it actually happened, to kind of change a few things here and there to make it more interesting. Like, to me, Total Divas felt like that, where it was just very like Real Housewives, just female drama for the sake of female drama, which is why the wrestlers that Karen pointed out that she got more invested in were the male wrestlers that were featured in that show, because the females were just treated as, the let's set up situations where they can be bitchy to each other kind of thing.
Didn't Cena have like weird house rules? Like, did Cena have like?
They turned that into a whole segment there at the end when he was tagging with Nikki Bella against Miz and Maurice. They did that whole day, and it was
Did Daniel Bryan monitor the toilet paper, like one square of
You can't spare a square?
No.
It must have been organic though. It was
Demolition
taken from
Man.
free
You gotta
range
use the
trees.
shells.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, as Karen points out too, that there's, if you refuse to share your life on camera, you weren't going to be a title program, and we had heard that from some of the folks that were involved in the filming of that. I don't know if any of that's true here. To me, it feels like they filmed a lot of different people, and then they figured out who they were going to focus on,
Right.
because there were cameras all over the place following a bunch of people. So,
Right.
yeah, and that's and my wife points out too, sensationalized reality is what wrestling is all about. I mean, I don't think any of us think, none of us think that this is 100% unscripted reality, but it has more reality, and to me, it also is serving the purpose of engaging you and investing, or getting us invested in the different performers.
It might not be, excuse me, it might not be so much scripted. It might be what they're not showing, what they film, what they keep out.
Oh, through the editing process,
right?
I think with the wrestlers are more into the editing process, because don't forget, I mean, they're so used to cutting promos. They're different than other entertainers. They're cutting they're meant to cut promos, address hecklers, just all of these things that pop up at any time, so I mean, just look what Snoop Dogg had to do at WrestleMania. Look at Shane Mac blew himself out. He had to think. That guy thought of that right off the bat, man, which was amazing. And that's not something
doesn't happen when you're filming a movie.
Yeah, if it happens in a fucking soap opera or movie, that's it. It's all. Oh, that's it. Where Rock got hurt. Yeah, that's it. The movie's canceled.
Yeah. No, I agree. That was really cool. And I want to end on this, and I say this all the time. 4 or 5 years ago, I heard Triple H say in an interview, kayfabe is dead, but we're working the work of reality. And that means setting up that layer of reality that the fans think is real. And that's where the stories are living right now.
Right.
Which is tremendous. I'm here for all of it. So let's jump over and talk about a few of our favorite matches from this week. And I want to talk WrestleMania, but I did want to, there was one other match that I wanted to talk about that really stood out to me on Thursday. And John, I think all of you saw this match maybe. And that's Marina Shafir and Killer Kelly. I was a big fan of Marina Shafir. I was a big fan of the 4 Horsewomen of MMA before they came to WWE. Marina Shafir is a world-class judoka. And what we saw in NXT was not representative of her skills as an athlete or a combat sport, a combatant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to Bloodsport, the first one. I think her first appearance, I want to say, was against Zeta Zhang. Possibly, John, keep me honest.
Yes, I do believe that's correct.
Both of them are martial artists. Great match. And I was like, why are we not getting this version of Marina Shafir in AEW? She's in AEW. I've never seen her have a match in AEW that resembles anything like what we've seen in Bloodsport. And even Mox said that on the podcast, on Renee's podcast recently, like, holy crap, why can't we get that version of her on our TV? So to hear a guy like him in that position, obviously he recognizes it too. So I just thought this was a great match. So John, I'm going to start with you, because I know you saw this match as well and have some feelings about it.
Yeah. Again, and if your folks are not familiar with Bloodsport, it's run by Josh Barnett. He is a former commentator and was part of New Japan Wrestling. Also is a former UFC light heavyweight,
world heavyweight champion.
Heavyweight champion. Because he bounced weight classes, but and it's very different than any other regular wrestling that you watch on TV. This is no ring, so there are no rope maneuvers. There's no, as Elder likes to say, 850, 550 flippy floppy doos off the top ropes, because there are no ropes. You're basically on a picture a ring with no ropes, no corners, just a flat mat, square mat. So it's definitely much more technical, more grappling based and everything. And it is the absolute perfect fit for someone like Marina Shafir, given her combat sports background, her former MMA career, absolutely perfect. And Killer Kelly, who in her own right has judo, has jiu-jitsu in her repertoire and training as well. They're always very interesting and very physical, hard-hitting matches. So check, if you're not familiar with Bloodsport, please get, and you'll be surprised who works there and how well they do, like a Marina Shafir. But
And
Marina
put the kill in Killer Kelly.
Oh boy, did she!
She did.
Yeah, I don't know. We felt bad for her. We were like, oh my god.
Yes. There was a different, and yes, I'm a fan of.
She got her ass
Marie's,
handed to her. Yeah,
and
all due respect.
Yeah, she did. She was definitely, for all her training, she was not quite prepared to be in someone with the likes of Maria Shafir, and it was very obvious. While very, very entertaining, put it this way, never once did I think that Killer Kelly had Marina Shafir in any type of danger. But you're
She
absolutely
tried
right.
hard.
She did very game effort, but no. And you're right. And knowing what I do about Marina's background and stuff, yes, why can't we have that on TV? Why can't we get what we see, what she does, and even in these other indie promotions that she's worked in the past, Combat Fights Unlimited, even GCW shows and stuff. There's definitely a different person. We understand she's maybe not the greatest on the mic or greatest with promos, but you can work around that. The woman's true talent is really mat-based wrestling. You're not going to turn her into a luchadora. You're not going to, that's not what she is.
Her problem is the music, John. Her entrance music lulls the, it's really, it's horrible. So, she comes out and then, but she kicks ass, but the music's like, oh, nobody. Right. And then she has that face, so she's got to find a little bit of, to get into the wrestling, she's got to get a little bit more of the personality side to it. But she should just come out, just do what she does in Bloodsport, do that in AEW. And sorry, Anna Jay, you'll be on the IL after that match, and a few other women there. But hey, talking about this, the collective weekend and everything. Who is the MVP? But who is more of an MVP than Speedball Mike Bailey? I mean,
nobody.
Can we run down
Bailey, as always?
That crazy Canadian is out of his effing mind.
He had a match against Vikingo, right? Okay, who else did he have a match with? He had a match. He had a match. He had like 5
I can't even remember right now.
Kushida.
I can't even remember right now.
He had Kushida. That's right. He had Kushida.
Karen can let us know. She knows.
It was supposed to be with. That's right. He got added in.
So many.
Kushida was supposed to face Josh Alexander, right?
Yes.
So Mike Bailey got added into that. So that's even an extra match. But Speedball is
that's right.
He's MVP, man. That guy.
Karen.
Right.
Tanahashi.
Yeah. Oh my God. The ace.
Yes.
What?
That kid.
What an array of matches.
You know what, Karen? Just one second. Take me real fast. 1 second for Karen. We're going to run down the Sakura Genesis. Just to who came out on top. Aussie Open. They won the IWGP title. So congrats to Aussie Open. Mercedes Moné. She retained against a triple threat match, and I'm not even going to attempt to name the other people. Much respect to them. Takashi defeats Robbie Eagles for the junior heavyweight IGWP. And Sonata defeated Okada. So Sonata finally has the belt. So there we go.
Yes.
I want to add one thing. So if you're interested in any of the GCW Collective, or there's a ton of stuff that happened over Mania weekend that was on Fight. If you subscribe to Fight Plus, it's $5 a month, $5, and you get access to like tons of stuff. It is crazy how much stuff. There's even a tab on the app that says Fight Plus, and you look at it, and there's just a boatload of stuff that you can go back and watch. Bloodsport, go back and watch any of these shows. Joey Janela's Spring Break, like there's just a ton of stuff from last weekend that's worth looking at.
And if you don't have the $5, I have Ezra's password and ID. I'll send it to you.
Hey, you have mine too, you old bastard.
No, shh, I need that.
Okay, before we jump into the Mania card, and we're not going to go through the whole card because we're we don't have a ton of time. I want to give some people some time on their weekend. I want to give a huge shout out to two people. Sky Blue was announced as being All Elite yesterday. I'm super excited for that. Sky Blue, we got a chance to talk to her in the NWA, and she's also been on our Mission Pro card, so now she's a permanent roster member for AEW. And someone else that's wrestled for us, Billy Starks, who has made such a huge name for herself. She had that match against Jade Cargill last night, and I honestly was just expecting a squash match. I thought they were just going to go out there in 2-3 minutes, done. Yay, she gets a spotlight. But no, that's not what we got. What we got was a full match with Billy getting a lot of offense in, and I was super happy for her to get that spotlight.
I just want to give us a shout out. Our other show under the old name interviewed a young Billy Stark, a very young Billy Stark, a couple of years ago, and she was on her way to do schoolwork and stuff. I think she was on the way to a prom or whatever. Right. Her dad's driving her in the minivan. It was just very surreal. When we said, "How old are you?" "Oh, I'm 16." We're like, "What?" I mean, and the girl was killing it then. What an amazing kid. Congrats to those parents. They did it right. And congrats to her. She is a star already, and it's only going to get brighter for her.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Her, Billy Sparks, and also Nick F. Wayne, another young absolute wrestling prodigy.
So
I believe both of them in the round when they get done with school or their 18th birthdays for their presents. Each of them will be getting that they are all elite. I'll guarantee that they are probably already signed. They're just waiting for that little age legality thing to come to pass, and then you'll be seeing them every week on the AEW.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see Nick F. and Wayne on TV.
Yes.
And that kid Billy is not only she's an honor student. She's an honor student. The kid was on an interview with Bust Open, and she goes, "I'm going to Japan." They go, "Oh, you're going? It's a been taking Japanese.
So Japanese.
I'm seeing her do Japan. Everything's posted in Japanese. Believe me, the kid's got her head on her shoulders, and no one's going to knock it off. It's going to be knocking heads off.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm super happy for her.
Fuck marks.
All right, so I want to talk about just a couple of the big matches from Mania weekend. We're not going to go through all 2 nights and all the matches, but obviously my favorite match, we've talked about this, we were all watching live. My favorite match of the weekend from an in-ring standpoint was this match, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. And we talked about how much Rhea's evolved as a performer. What we saw was a Charlotte Flair wrestling at 100% Charlotte Flair, which is not very often that we get to see that. And so I want to go around the room and ask you guys, because we were watching that match, and for those of you that you do watch along parties and everybody's kind of talking, watching wrestling halfway. When this match was going on, nobody said a friggin' word. Like everyone's just like,
we were watching.
So, yes,
yeah,
we were all 100% locked in on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Deb, let me start with you.
Well, you guys know how I feel about Rhea. She is like, oh man, I adore her. I love her. And Charlotte, there is a reason why Charlotte is Head and Shoulders. There is a reason why Dave LaGreca screams Head and Shoulders when he talks about Charlotte. It's true. She is one of the greatest wrestlers of this generation, and probably the greatest female wrestler of all time. And oh my God, that match, like, you're so right. We were locked in. We were all just watching that, locked in, fully invested. Their facial expressions, especially Rhea, like, she has all that black and purple makeup, but her eyes are so piercing. So when she has those facial expressions where she gets like wide-eyed, like her eyes just tell the story. And it's just, that was a phenomenal match. Rhea definitely like planted her flag and said, "I'm here. she said, I deserve to be in this spot versus the best. And she really does.
And she planted Charlotte.
So, Mike, I want to ask you about the end of this match, because post-match, we were just talking about like how much they pull the curtain back and stuff, and this is very, very rare for someone like Charlotte to do this. But they panned to her, and she was sitting on the ground up against the ring, smiling and clapping, like she had completely sort of dropped the character, and it was just, you could tell she was not only proud of the match, but also like what Rhea had accomplished.
I think it goes back to what was the WrestleMania with no people? Was that
36?
Yeah, 36. In the empty performance center, they had the best match that WrestleMania too, probably one of the best matches. I think it's a culmination of finally, because I think they were both excited to be in front of 70,000 fans, and then it got taken away. So it's a culmination of that building up over the next few years. And now finally they had the match. And that match that he had was a banger with all caps, man. And it was amazing. And I think it was finally, we've proven, showed that shows the world, that women main eventing or wrestling, it wasn't the main event. It was main event caliber. That's the point, though, and it, if it wasn't for the Bloodline story, that would have been the main event that night, I think.
Exactly. And that's why it was the co-main event. Yeah. That's why it was.
You have to put a co-main event. Yeah, you have to put co-main event because they were two different matches, and they were two things culminating for the fans in satisfying the fans. And right. I think there's a tremendous amount of respect between them. And Charlotte just was like, "Wow, we did it!" She was so proud for her and for herself, I think. And anybody that tracks against Charlotte, she's the best, not only because of her athleticism, but because she did this for Reed. She did all of this for Reed. It wasn't fucking Ric Flair in her ear saying, "Woo, you got to carry on the." No, it wasn't. He's proud as anything, and we know it. The guy could cry at the drop of a dime when you say Charlotte. And this is, I mean, she's the only one he could put over more than himself. But
that's hard.
He put that, Reed, every time she wrestles, it's Reed on her back with her, and that's it. And she's awesome. You said it, front row, and you don't wither. You've been in the front row all these years. You said you actually felt her star power, and you felt her presence.
You do. Anybody who's seen her in person.
There's certain people. Yeah. Mark Henry walks into a room. Even a Bully Ray walks into a room. They command attention. It doesn't matter whether you're a fan or not. If you didn't know them, those people walk into a room, and that's it. You say that's somebody.
It's the airport test. The airport test. When you see them walking through an airport, you go, "Oh, that person's somebody."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've said it before. Like I met her once for just a couple of minutes, and I have her title here signed by her. She was very personable, very nice, very not Charlotte. She was Ashley, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't matter. Like in the room, she filled the room. Like it's something interesting. And then to see her that night, like, because we had the signing in the morning at a local place here, and then that night she won the SmackDown title. It's insane. And this was 2017. This was a minute ago. And she's only gotten better and better and better since then. So I want to just jump over to one other thing. And this is a match that I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about. And we're only going to talk about it for a minute. But I was, in the lead up to this match, this Brock Lesnar versus Omos, we knew, or at least we suspected, that if Brock had stamped his participation in this match, he was going to make it as good as possible. He allowed Omos to throw him around. Maybe allowed is the wrong term. Omos picked him up and threw him around like a pillow. Like, oh my God, did he manhandle Brock? Brock doesn't get manhandled very often. But Omos picked him up and just literally one arm just threw him around the ring. and it was insane to watch Brock sell the way that he did. Yeah, we kind of knew that we were going to get the F5s and all that stuff, but I think this match was way better than people gave it credit for in the lead up. John?
Yeah, I agree. Because there really wasn't much to it. You know, it was. I mean, obviously, we never get a real, unless it's a major story. We never really get that with anything with Brock. But Brock is so undervalued and underrated in his ability to work and make guys. And
he's not underpaid, though.
Not at all. Not at all. And he certainly is not overworked. But you know, we lose sight of just how good he is because of that, because of the part-time schedule, because of all the things in the past, and rightfully so. But man, he is so good. There's no, as big and as imposing as almost is, and you know, a little camera trickery and stuff aside that they did to make it look even bigger, dude. Almost is a very big, large man, and so is Brock Lesnar. And we are used to seeing Brock Lesnar just ragdoll grown men around a ring or an octagon, for that matter, for quite a long time. To see this out of this match, you know, Brock went over, almost got over. Plain and simple. Brock
I would agree.
almost walked into work Monday morning having completely different eyes looking at him, and you know, and that's 100% due to Brock and how they worked that match and how it went.
Yeah. So I want to jump ahead to the main event of night 2, and that was, of course, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And I think we were all hoping Cody would win, but at the end of the day, that's not what happened. And to me,
it's okay.
WrestleMania was like a tale of two shows. You had all your feel-good moments and all your pomp and circumstance on night 1. Ended strong with Sammy and KO. Everybody happy. Everybody goes home happy. Night 2, you end with Roman winning and just booze. And the internet's angry, and this is the worst decision they've ever made, and we're never watching again.
Yes.
Yeah, you are. Stop.
Our buddy Dave was happy. Hey, shout out to Dave. You predicted it, buddy. You had that prediction. You put it out there on Busted Open Live on. You put it out to us. You lived with that. You kept that, and you honored it, and you came through, and you got to cheer for Roman and acknowledge him at WrestleMania, buddy.
Yeah. So look, I want to just, you know, American Nightmare, gotta represent here. I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan. I've had the opportunity to meet him and meet and greets. He's a super nice guy, super great with the fans. For everything I've heard from people who know him in the industry, say he's a quality human. So like, I wanted him to win, but I also didn't want the story to end, because for over 2 years they've been giving us this unbelievable layered multi-flavored thing. Like, it's been amazing, and I didn't want it to end. So Deb, did you saw Cody Rhodes' post where he talked about sort of coming to the end of WrestleMania week and what's next for him? He's going to address the crowd on Monday. What's next for Cody?
I definitely think that his story with Roman is not over, but I think there's going to be something in the middle until we get to that place where Cody finally gets to Roman. I think they have to have this period of time where the bloodline story like changes a little bit, and maybe Cody has to go and like face another foe and circle back to Roman, but it's definitely not over. And like as far as, you know, the anger and backlash and, you know, people are upset, I feel like, okay, if we try to take off our, you know, analysis hat for a second, because we're all constantly analyzing everything as far as the business and booking and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, we know all that kind of stuff. if you just kind of look at it from the simple facts of this is our baby face that made us care so much about him that we are that upset that he lost. That's what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to be that invested in our baby face that we are screaming and yelling and we are so upset and we're still upset a week later. That's what's supposed to happen.
That's the way it goes, baby. Now you got it. Now you got it. You get funky like a monkey and sell some more.
It just strikes me as so funny that there's all these like armchair bookers that are like, that was the worst decision in booking history. Like, okay, we are supposed to be that invested in our baby face. That means they did it right.
Yeah,
Front row,
and John,
check out my theory, front row, with because you always point out how YouTube is the thing. You know, the show's on TV, but yet the YouTube gets that one clip gets a 10 million clip.
Right.
Right. So these little fucking shits don't want a story. They just want the friggin'. They want it's CSI. They want CSI, but they don't know in real life the CSI. That's weeks, months, sometimes years of investigating and this and that. But they like that nice hour-long show, half-hour show. Boom, everything, you know.
Right.
That's they're too used to that now. I just want to go to the clip and see Roman win. I want to see Cody lose. That's it. I don't want to see the match.
Right.
Yeah, so two things to that. And for those people who watch the post WrestleMania media scrum or press conference, whatever you want to call it, those are must watch, by the way, because you get the superstars talking in and out of character. You've got some really interesting perspectives, and you get Triple H's perspective. Roman Reigns sat down and said, someone asked him about the decision for him, like why someone would ask him this. They asked about the decision for him to retain, and he said, "We're in the third inning."
Yeah,
like I don't know what you're all talking about. Like we got a long way to go. And then Mark Henry said, and I got to give my wife credit too, because my wife writes murder mysteries, and she's like, "Why would you end a story in the middle of the book? Like there's more chapters." And Mark said almost the same thing, like. You don't end the story. You think the story's over and you go, oh, this story had a terrible ending. And someone says, oh, there's 20 more chapters to this book that you haven't read yet. Well, of course, like we're going to get more story. That's what they're doing.
Exactly.
You don't think that the hottest angle in the last 20 years is just going to come to an abrupt stop? No. I don't want it to. I want more. We get more this week. We're going to get more next week.
There's too many twists and turns. And now you have Riddle added to it. So now Solo's got to deal with Riddle. We don't know about that, but he did take Riddle out, so that's a logical thing. So you know that's going to be there. But WrestleMania Backlash to me has got to be Cody against Solo, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Or
Yeah,
Brock.
probably.
No, Brock is later though. Brock is later.
Yeah,
Solo took the belt out of his took victory right out of his hands. So
yeah,
that's who he's got to deal with first.
I'll be the first one to admit I really thought Cody was going to win, but I'm a Cody fan. I love Cody. I care about him as a person, as a character. I want him to succeed. I want him to win. And, you know, we spent weeks talking about like the fall of the bloodline, the demise. We're gonna see the Usos are gonna lose, then Roman's gonna lose, and we're gonna see the breaking the foundation of the bloodline. And where do they go from there? Well, they gave us a twist. They gave us a really, really good plot twist that really, really threw us off.
Yes, and all these knuckleheads out there without canceling Peacock. I'm doing this. I'm never watching it again. Oh, they ruined it. Listen. I thought King Kong Bundy should have fucking won. I thought Paul Orndorff should have won. I thought Big Boss Man should have won. I thought Earthquake should have won. I thought Andre was not really. He wasn't body slammed. He hardly got him over. He got him over a knee and flipped him. Yeah. That's it. And Morella only gave a 2 count. So, and I'm still watching this shit. So, people, stop. Just stop. I'm even watching it. So you know what? I'm not turning the channel even with Logan fucking Paul. Okay, I can't stand the guy. The guy has zero likability to me. So they got to keep putting him in the ring with people that are going to make him look great, like Ricochet and Seth Rollins. All right, so whatever. I'll save the best.
Oh, speaking of, very little sidetrack here. We were at the mall today, and you know those like pop-up stores that you see at the mall, like with like as seen on TV products and shit. Well, now it's not as seen on TV stuff; it's as seen on social media stuff. And they had a whole display of Logan Paul's energy drink.
Oh,
oh no. Yeah, I can't stand the guy either. I mean, I can't deny that he's good in the ring for a guy who's been here a minute, but
yeah.
This is why aliens don't visit us. This is why aliens don't visit us. They just pass by. They're like, no.
It might be true. Okay, so much stuff happened last weekend. So much stuff coming up. I did want to just briefly mention, of course, April 22nd, we have Mission Pro Wrestling's Edge of Glory. Make sure you check it out on Title Match Network. If you're in the area, get your tickets at missionprowrestling.com. If you're interested in sponsorship, there's still a lot of great opportunities for individual wrestler or show sponsors. Email us at missionprowrestling.com, missionprowrestling@gmail.com. Check it out on the socials. It's going to be a really fun show. Our main event is going to be Genocide defending her title against Hyon, who is awesome. So that's going to be a heavyweight fight right there.
When you see it, you're going to go Hyon.
Probably not.
No, because she'll probably chop you in the neck and make you unconscious.
Yeah, Dalai Lama, would you go, hello, Dolly?
No. No, I'm just.
Is it time for you to go to bed yet?
Almost. I had a nap today.
Grandpa, go take your meds. Don't forget your meds.
On that note, all right. So, John, where can people find you on the socials?
I never do it right, so I'm just gonna say it. You can find me at Twisted Metal Fab on the Instagram and the Twitter machine. Also, hashtag, this part I got right. Hashtag Nation's Corner on location just dropped an interview last night with the very alluring and mysterious Mother Endless. Please check that out here on the Nation's Corner YouTube channel. Yes. Nation's Corner on location. We are back. I am up on 2 feet, wearing 2 shoes again. So we are hitting the indie shows again very hard. Up to and including
for walking.
They are.
I was kind of thinking put 1 foot in front of
I honestly was thinking Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I-O. It's off to work I go. But speaking of next weekend, next Saturday, I will be back in the state of Delaware with Capital Championship Wrestling as they present their show Dead Zone, and talking about Mission Pro's of a main event. How about this for a main event? Steph DeLander, the baddest bitch in the Indies, the aforementioned Killer Kelly, visiting Tokyo Joshi Pro standout Miyu Yamashita. Yes, that one that faced Thunder Rosa, and the mother effing champ of CCW, Kylan King.
Nice.
Four-way fatal match for both the Capital Championship Wrestling Championship and Title Match Network Championship that Kylan currently holds. Kylan has to go in there against 3 absolute killers in order to keep her belts. So that's the main event.
Wow.
Check out at CCW Action on the Twitter to get the information. It's going to be a live show in Delaware. I will be in attendance, and I do believe our good friend and brother, Too Sweet Neil, is going to be accompanying me because his favorite wrestler, one Kick Demon Janai Kai, is also on the card, which Neil was nice enough to sponsor for the show. So I'll be checking that out. But please, folks, Nation's Corner on location. Let us know what's going on. Let me know. Hit me up at Twisted Metal Fab.
Yeah, and just real quick, Karen put in the chat, Miyu Yamashita is doing a U.S. excursion until June. She's everywhere. Like, she's been in all kinds of promotions, having killer matches, just just banger matches. So
Yeah.
and I'm a huge fan of her. So definitely
Yeah.
check that out. Deb, where can people find you?
That's so Debonair on the Twitter machine and on Instagram. And this week, I've been doing like my podcast of the week, whatever, blah blah. This week it's Sledge Vlog. This dude right here.
Aw.
Sledge Vlog. So YouTube Sledge 805. He is documenting his fitness journey. You see some cool cameos. He runs into Zicky Dice like everywhere he goes, so it's pretty cool. It's like everywhere he goes, it's like, hey, there's Zicky. So that's fun. But yeah, shout out to Sledge. If you watch his vlog on YouTube, his editor puts in some cool little funny edits every once in a while, like when Sledge is having to, take a 3-hour drive to LA for a wrestling show, and his editor puts in a little, gif of Gilligan's Island 3-hour tour. Little drops like that is pretty funny. So shout out to Sledge's editor. But yeah, definitely check out Sledge 805 on YouTube, Twitch, all that crap.
Don't you have something coming up?
Do I? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Coming up on Monday will be the release of my interview on our friend Mind Runner's podcast, Mental Health Mondays. So if you go to Mind Runner with a Y, MYND Runner, you can check out a clip of the video that he released so far, and the full video will be up on Monday. We talk about mental health, a little bit of wrestling, but different things regarding mental health. We talk about how this group and you guys have, helped me in the past few years since I've known you. We talked about different things like, overcoming issues in relationships regarding mental health, being better as a person, learning yourself, all that kind of stuff. So check it out on Monday. Go check out the clip from Mind Runner.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you stay tuned to our socials, we'll make sure to retweet it and share that link when it's live.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Thanks,
Definitely.
Deb. Mike?
I wish you were live on there. This way we could have been in the chat and busted your chops. But all thanks to this guy that we're doing this, right?
That guy
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, that's
Thank
that
you.
Dave, that Dave Lee Greca guy.
Also,
Lee Greca.
Lee Greca. Also, shout out to Scotty, who gifted Dave some beautiful Jack Daniels bottles with a custom busted open logo on it. Shout out to Scotty. I saw Dave posted a picture earlier today on his social medias. So yeah, that was awesome. Scotty went above and beyond this past weekend for Wrestlemania, taking care of Dave and the guys, and basically giving them the congratulations they deserve.
Yeah, I'm not sure if those bottles were customized beyond that, because I saw Bully posted a picture and it was custom for him. It had his description on the side, so very, very cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, Scotty has just been such a wonderful person to our group and to the Busted Open Nation and Mission Pro, and he's good to everybody. He gave us all the fat heads and like all that stuff.
Yeah, find him on the socials and friend him, and he'll send you a free bottle of Jack Daniels.
He will not do that.
He'll take you to a Creed concert. I know he's going to have
that he may do.
He's going to have one extra fucking ticket for Creed. That's for sure. There's ain't no way, no chance in hell. I'll grow a fucking Vince mustache and go off in the mountain.
God.
But seriously, do follow Scotty on the socials. He's at SW24 on Twitter. He's a good dude and one of our best friends. So,
and he's not going to give you booze.
No, he's not giving away booze. No. You can find me at PW Front Row on all the platforms. You can also find me on Thursday nights on Mission Pro Wrestling's Unmatched YouTube show with my co-host Trenda. We're going to be covering all the latest news in women's wrestling. So check us out then. We are at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Yes, and hit that like, subscribe. Make sure you set your notifications. We're going to be back again next week at the same time with more fun and probably shenanigans. I like shenanigans.
I love shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Next week,
I call
Tony.
shenanigans on you.
Next week, when Tony Justice is back, we're going to reenact the Sammy and KO hug.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Love you guys.